Welcome to KryptoGeneX.
All right, welcome everybody. My name is Brandon Ivy, and this is a special Saturday interview call, another Meet the Founder call that we're going to have with co-owner Stephen McCullough. Now, a couple of weeks ago, hold on, let me turn off the entry chime so that's not interrupting us. All right, so a couple of weeks ago, you guys had a chance to hear from Mr. Mike Boggs, co-owner, for a couple of weeks. Following that, we had a Meet the Founders call where you got to kind of meet all the founders, hear a little bit about the business. You also heard from a special training from Will Thietlin. That was on a Thursday night. Today, we're going to single out one of the co-owners, Mr. Stephen McCullough, and then next week, we're going to have mother and son duo, Kathy and Jeremy Keene, on next Saturday. But for today, we have a special one-on-one interview between myself and also Stephen McCullough. And so you guys can get to, a little inside knowledge on who he is, his background, his vision for the company, a couple of questions going forward. And this is recorded so you can share with your members of your team and any future prospects. The one thing here at KryptoGeneX that we want everybody to know is that we're fully 100% transparent. Nobody is hiding. There's no guy in the shadows with all the money. Everybody is accessible. Everybody is up front. You know who the owners are. You know what we're all about, which is rare in the crypto space. But we want to make sure things are done right and fully transparent here, since we're a U.S.-based company in the United States and for the rest of the world. So without further ado, Stephen, I know if you can hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Stephen, I want you to share with everybody. Let's start this off by just telling your story. Let everybody know who you are. You're going to do that much better than I can for you. And then we're going to go from there. So, Stephen, are you there?
Okay, Brandon, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Hey, everyone, thank you for coming to the call. I'm just going to share a story with you, like I always do. And I'm going to teach also in this call the importance of these stories because that's what ties people to this. But my story starts in 1994. I learned how to use the computer in 2 hours. Probably shocking, but it's true. And I thought right then, we can teach the world how to do this. It took 4 years to develop a program, and in 1998, the program launched. And it went very, very slow. We didn't have any leaders. It wasn't going too well. And I met a guy named Eric, and he came along, and he began to build, and it began to grow. And I traveled all over the world for 2 years. And in 2 years, after a lot of hard work and 4 years of preparation, we put over 2 million members into that company. And that company's name was SkyBiz. Then what happened at the end of 2 years, I was on a conference call just like this one. It was Christmas. The family was there. Everybody was happy. We had this great, successful company. And the person who was the investor, who was really the owner, I was young, didn't look at the contract real well, and he announced on a global conference call at Christmas, we're getting rid of the McCullough family, and we're getting rid of their whole concept, and we're just moving on without them. So that was quite a shock for Christmas and woke us up. But anyway, so we negotiated over the next month, and 7 figures later, we walked out the door, and my dream was gone. And that's just how it went. Now, here's the rest of the story about SkyBiz. At that point in time, within 6 months, SkyBiz was shut down. And SkyBiz was shut down for 2 main reasons. One, the company had developed a video that I had no part of or knowledge of, and they launched that video, and I was gone. And it said this: I earned $100,000 last week. I earned $50,000 last week. I earned $25,000 last week. All kinds of people saying that on a video. You want to talk about enticement? You want to talk about giving a government a reason to shut a company down? That was the reason. The second thing was, well, first of all, it was all true. All the people on the video were telling the absolute truth about their success in the program. It was a phenomenal program. But the second thing was they had went out with the major marketers had turned it into a game selling 3-packs. And when that happened, that was the second bullet in the gun of the government. So my story is I designed an incredible company. I went out and put my heart and soul into it. I went out and traveled the world. I was gone 275 days a year for 2 years in a row internationally and built a phenomenal company before everybody realized you could do multiple language stuff. And it was a great success. It was the happiest time of my life. And the company was taken away from me, and then the courts came after the company. And so I spent the next 2 years in federal court. And that was a long 2 years. And that was an educational 2 years. And I learned a lot about the government. And I have no animosity. I made friends with all the attorneys. And after 2 years, SkyBiz settled for $20 million. And then the government turned to me and said, Stephen, now it's your turn. And so 2 days later, I settled with the U.S. government for $15,000, a settlement fine. And the key to that settlement was that I would agree not to be involved in network marketing for 10 years. That was in 2003. It went to 2013. So that's my story of my great success and then the nightmare that followed. So I want to make it part of this entire story because we want to be full disclosure. Because there's no one on this call that knows how important it is for us to be legal in the United States. So I'm going to fast forward 19 years later to a new story. About a year ago, I got a phone call. Christmas 2016. Friend named Will. Steve, need to get involved in this thing, this Bitcoin thing, this Bitcoin company. And I was really, really busy. You know how timing is everything? So it wasn't going to be timing. So I said, I don't think so. But I was studying Bitcoin, and I was interested in Bitcoin, and I was thinking about buying Bitcoin. I think at the time it was $700 a coin. So then next, we went along, and he called me 4 months later. And he said, Steve, you got to get involved in this Bitcoin thing. Well, by then, I was already really involved in the concept of Bitcoin. And I wanted to buy some Bitcoin. And you know how sometimes you kind of get caught up in a moment, like a euphoria thing? Well, I got caught up in that moment, and I bought some Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin that day. And, of course, it was a struggle. It was a hassle, and it was a pain, and I could barely do it, and Will had to help me, and it was a nightmare. No wonder people were having a hard time getting involved in this stuff. And so I got my Bitcoin bought, and I joined this company. And I signed up about 4 or 5 people. And once I did that, I realized, because no one knew, because no one told me, because they didn't know yet, that that was no longer my Bitcoin. So I gave my first Bitcoin to this company. And they cut it in half, and they paid commissions with it, and supposedly they were going to trade it, and I was going to make 0.00002 who cares, who knows, because I didn't care. Because the minute I realized that they had taken my Bitcoin and it was now theirs, I was done. And so what I did then was I called all the people I signed up. I told them, hey, they took our Bitcoin, and I gave everybody their money back because I just couldn't be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of something that was good. I thought it was a good concept, but I didn't know they were going to take all of our Bitcoin. So at that time, I kind of went backwards again, set to the side, and I wrote a book. And it was called The Bitcoin Buyers Club. It was only about 10 pages long. The reason I wrote this book was I had to teach myself just enough about Bitcoin. Just enough that all the people coming around me, my friends and family going, hey, I hear you're in Bitcoin. Hey, I heard you bought some Bitcoin, because by now I owned 10 Bitcoin at that time, because right after I lost all that money, I bought me some Bitcoin, because that's what it was all about in the first place. And so I'm having to write this book because I'm kind of getting tired of having to walk everybody through buying a Bitcoin and explain it to them and then selling them on it. But I didn't even mean to sell them on it. I was just trying to buy my own Bitcoin and get involved in this industry. So I wrote the book, and the funniest chapter was the bucking bronc. Because to me, I realized real fast in the first 6 weeks, Bitcoin's like a racehorse, and it's a bucking bronc all in one, and it's going to be a wild ride, and you better know it. And if you know that, then you'll be prepared for this Bitcoin and cryptocurrency age. So I began my education. Too bad I didn't learn very much very fast, because then the fork of July came along, that famous Bitcoin fork where it spit out the Bitcoin caches. I lost 7 Bitcoin because I had no education, no knowledge, and I went on a hunch. And my hunch was wrong. And my hunch was what was going to happen was Bitcoin was going to plummet to $1,200. That's what I had all figured out. You know, you could read all over the internet. It's going to do all kinds of things. And so when it started to plummet, unfortunately, I sold all my Bitcoin as it got kind of down around 1900. And I went to sleep that night thinking, all right, you get to 1,200, I'm going to buy back in, make me about 5 Bitcoin. It turned around, and it raced to 3,500. And I had to sit there and look at that screen and go, oh, God, when do I buy back in? How much do I lose? When can I do it? You know, just sitting there waiting to hit click buy, just know how much Bitcoin you just lost. So I'm the customer for KryptoGeneX. And I'm not the only customer for KryptoGeneX, because I'm going to tell you about a few more as I go in this story. So anyway, about 3 months later, I got a phone call because I'm really big into software development and design. I'm not a programmer. I hire programmers. And what I do is I develop it in a graphical interface look, what you end up seeing on the screen. And I work with programmers to make everything work, and I've been doing it for over 20 years. So anyway, I got a call, and the company wanted me to come fix their software. So I got a team together. We fixed their software, about 2.5 months' time. In the process of fixing their software, I got to know the ownership and, well, kind of the ownership. I'm not really sure who owned the company. But anyway, I got to know some people there, and they kind of used me as a consultant. And so I was giving them all the right advice. Here's what you should do. Here's what you should do. And I was realizing at the same time, within 2 months, they're taking the Bitcoin too. And they're saying that they're trading it, and they're paying commissions off. I was like, oh, I don't want no part of this. So anyway, I stepped out of that one. And about that time, Will came back to me. Will, the guy who got me to buy my first Bitcoin, got me in that company where they took my Bitcoin. I was real mad at Will. Anyway, because I lost all my Bitcoin for Will. And I like to blame Will. But it was the lessons I needed to learn to get us to here. Will came to me, and he knew I had an idea. And my idea was very simple. Teach the world about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and do it in audio and video. So back in 1998, when I was developing that concept called SkyBiz, I so wanted to put it in video. It just wasn't possible because around the world, the internet wasn't fast enough. The speeds weren't fast enough. All the stuff wasn't ready for what it's ready for today. So Will knew I had this idea, and I'd evolved the idea a whole lot because I was looking at these models that were coming through that mostly are out of business now, or they've been run out of the countries now because they weren't legal. I was looking at their models, and I was modeling based off their models thinking, okay, here's the missing piece is the education. But the next piece is there has to be that one big thing for those big players so they can actually put their Bitcoin in somewhere and keep it. And so the model was being created, and he put me on the phone with a few people. And they said, hey, they want to do your idea. And I thought the smartest thing to do was just scare them all off the phone right then. And I said, okay, I'm going to need $1 million. And they got kind of quiet, and they go, $1 million? What do you need $1 million for? I said, I don't. You do. Because I'm going to spend $200,000 of it getting this company ready. And then you're going to have to hire all the top lawyers and everyone. And it's going to be expensive. And then you're going to have to pay my way and send me around the world so we can build the biggest cryptocurrency educational company in existence. And there was a pause. And they said, okay. And I thought, yeah, right, this ain't happening. And so I took the next 3 weeks, and I got a hold of my development team, began kind of putting together a puzzle, just waiting to see if we were really going to do this. And then I got a phone call. They said, okay, we got about 400,000 or so. Is that enough to start? And I said, yep, that's enough to start. And we began developing the company that you're now seeing, and it's beginning to take place and come together. And that's what this phone call is about, to find out who we all are, what we're doing, what we're thinking, and how this is all going to work. So I want to tell you what I've been doing. I want to tell you a lot because I know this is an interview, and there'll be questions, but I'm going to eliminate some of them. First thing is we're going to go global, and we're going to go global fast, and we're going to go global big. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to do it by being in multiple languages. I have over 17 translators working on this program right now. We already have the PowerPoints in Chinese Simplified, English, Russian. We have them in Portuguese. We'll have them in Tagalog and in Spanish in 2 days. And then we'll have traditional and Japanese and Korean and Danish and Swedish and Vietnamese and Pakistani Urdu. And did I miss Hindi? And I think I got them all. So we got about 15 languages being translated right now. And there'll be PowerPoints available with voiceovers. Within 2 weeks, 15 languages or whatever I just said will all be done in all 3 presentations. And so there's 3 presentations. There's the mini presentation for the masses. There's the crypto rhythm presentation for the major player. And then there's the training presentation that ties it all together. So we're behind the scenes right now developing with people all over the world to set up a company like no one's ever seen before. So we can go out and we can teach the world about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So with that story, I've been on the phone a lot, Zoom calls all over the world. And I've been talking to major players in the industry, one in New Zealand yesterday, one in California the day before, and they both said the same thing to me, and you might be surprised. They said, Steve, now these are $1 million earners, okay? They said, Steve, I've heard about Bitcoin, but I don't know how to buy one. The whole world is our playground. It's all right in front of us. The whole world. Major marketers making big incomes and other companies have yet to purchase a first piece of a Bitcoin. I even had to explain to them you didn't have to buy the whole Bitcoin, same as everybody. The world doesn't know how it works. The world is hearing about Bitcoin for the first time. They're hearing about it on the news for the first time, on the television for the first time. It went on to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and Futuring for the first time. It's going to be in Wall Street in June for the first time. The whole world is moving to Bitcoin. It is going to become that global currency. They call it a cryptocurrency. It's a global currency. It's an internet currency. The whole world is intrigued and infatuated with it. And timing is everything. And the timing for KryptoGeneX is perfect. And so now we've got this incredible team that includes Brandon and Jairus and Rob and all the different owners and all the great leaders around the world. We've got great growth going on right now in Australia and New Zealand, and of course we've got leaders in Germany and Vietnam, and I could just name all those countries. I just named those languages because they're already here. And we had to do a conference call 2 weeks ago, and I thought, why are they doing a conference call? I mean, I really did. Why are we doing a conference call? We're just developing. Well, we did a conference call, and 430 people showed up at the first intro to KryptoGeneX. That shocked me. Because on the company I mentioned earlier that we built to be so big within 2 years, we didn't have a conference call with 400 people in it for over 7 months. This thing has it. Whatever it is, it has it. And it's rare that you find it. You can't dream it up. You can't make it. It either has it or it don't. And this program, KryptoGeneX, it has it. And we've hired the top attorneys in the MLM industry. We've hired top compliance attorneys. We've hired top direct marketing consultants. And we're listening to everything they say, and we're going to do it right. And we're going to have rules, and we're not going to be bad guys, and we're not going to be mean guys, but we're not going to do 3-packs. We're not going to do that kind of stuff. And we're not going to do income claims. We don't have to. It's going to all take care of itself. We're just going to go build this program. Now, the way I present the program, because I've been presenting all day long, every day, all over the world on Zoom. And the way I present it is I present the mini presentation because that's for the masses. The crypto rhythm is for the 10%. The mini presentation is for the masses. And the reason I say this is because, you know, the masses doesn't have that kind of money, and you don't want the masses risking that kind of money in the first place. The masses fits the $300 program. The masses can see the vision and the dream of the $300 program. The masses don't need to be confused. Not that they're not intelligent. There's no sense in having that crypto rhythm all tied into that presentation. That new famous thing in the internet with the cryptocurrency, KYC. KYC. I thought it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. Know your customer. Know your customer. Know who you're presenting to. Because when you present the mini presentation to people, it's so simple. It all makes so much sense. It's so easy to understand. You only got to sell 3 and it's free. I mean, God, just can't get no easier than this. And then, you know, if you want to go on and talk with them about the crypto rhythm as a separate presentation. Because the truth of the matter is, if I'm sitting across the table from a person who's going to, you know, they're going to come up with the 300 and that's good, and you're going to have the dream and we're going to help them build a company, but you know they don't need to come out of pocket with 1,000 or 2, then why present it to them? But what you can do is say, later, after we build you a nice group and you have success in this company, this crypto rhythm, getting into that could be your goal because people need goals. And so that's why I present it that way, and that's what I'm going to recommend you do. And later, by the end of the weekend, at CryptoGeneX.com, you'll be able to go in there and download about 5 different languages, all 3 presentations. And by Friday, you'll be able to download 15 languages, all 3 presentations, because we are serious. If you're going to go worldwide, you've got to understand the language of this. All this stuff's being done in video, not just PowerPoints. All of it's being voiced over, just like the 3 videos I'm sure you all have listened to at Brandon's. It's being done in every language right now. So that when we launch, it's not like, well, we'll get ready soon. No, it's being done. And then the way we're going to deal with it is, as we see growth, because we're tracking, when people join, they're going to choose a language. That's going to tell us how many people from what language. I don't care what country they're in. I want to know their language. That's going to tell us how many people are speaking Spanish in our program, how many Koreans in our program speaking Korean, how many people speaking Chinese. So that way, as soon as we hit 400 or 500 members in each language, we can afford and make sense, business sense, to invest enough money to develop the entire 45 training videos. Right now, we've got the training videos. They'll be ready in English. They should be close to being ready by April 1st. Close, all 45, at least a bunch of them in Spanish. We're going to go ahead and start Chinese and Chinese because there's 2 Chineses. And then we're going to go ahead and start Korean and Japanese because those are the key 7 languages to reaching 70% of the world with this program. So I think I've said enough, Brandon. I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, you actually covered a little bit of some of the questions I was going to ask you, but I want to home in on them for a bit and get a couple of more details. Now, you learned some lessons from SkyBiz, which is why you kind of lead the way when we talk about education with our program. Now, our program is designed, and I say this all the time, that we solve three major problems for the rest of the world that people have in the Bitcoin industry. And number one is education. Number two is the fact that they want to learn how they can earn an income with the knowledge that they're gaining from it. And not just that we're going to teach them how to earn, we're also going to provide a way for them to earn with our program, with the Crypto Rhythm and our mobile app. And then when we solve the other problem about as far as legality, being able to operate in the United States legally. So one thing I want you to kind of really hit on is the fact that the lesson you learned from SkyBiz has told you, you know what, we want to stay as far away as possible from making income claims, from talking about percentages, from any of that, which is a very popular feature for CryptoGeneX, and want to kind of stick with leading the way when we talk about education. Can you expand on that a bit?
Education is the key. It's that simple of a statement. You see, that's why I brought up the two major marketers I spoke to that didn't know how or where to even go to even think about buying the first piece of a Bitcoin. Education is the key. Even to most of the marketers who are involved today in cryptocurrency, they know just enough to be dangerous. Okay? Some of them know more. But most just know just enough to know how to buy the Bitcoin and how to get that Bitcoin into that marketing company. But the world is coming to cryptocurrency. They're not coming to cryptocurrency to become traders. They're coming to cryptocurrency because they just want to be a part of it. Just like the world wanted to be a part of the internet. The world wants to be a part of cryptocurrency. And yeah, they would need education because they're hearing about those ICO things. And they're hearing about those coins that went up. And they're hearing about all these things. So we have to educate them so they're not a danger to themselves. So first things first, you got to be able to buy Bitcoin. You got to understand what a wallet is. You got to understand this is all kind of scary, that it's out there. And then you got to understand that I don't like it being out there, so I can get a cold storage wallet and I can bring it down here. You got to understand all these things. And I'm talking about the world has to understand all these things. Because like in the United States right now, less than 5% of all people own any piece of a cryptocurrency. And a stat I read the other day said less than 5% of those people earn $1,500 or more of cryptocurrency. Now, we've all seen what cryptocurrency does and Bitcoin does, and it went up, I don't know how many 1,000% last year. And the year before that, I'm not sure how many percent, but always over 200%. It seems to run over 200%. And who knows if that's going to hold true. But the whole world is watching this pattern, and they want to be a part of the cryptocurrency era. And they need education because the hash and the fork, what's the hash and what's the fork? It's all these different things that we can step them right through. Here's how you buy your Bitcoin. Here's how you pay with your Bitcoin. Here's what the hash is. Simple things to us, absolutely Greek to the world. And so it is about education. This program is about education. What will attract the masses is education. What might attract the monsters in network marketing is, you know, the idea of this program and this crypto rhythm. Well, that's awesome. But without the masses, there are no whales or monsters of network marketing. It takes the masses. So you have to have a program affordable with mass global appeal to bring the masses to you. The next thing is income claims. You just can't do income claims. And a company doing income claims of all things, lessons learned back there, you know. A company doing income claims of all things, I mean, that's just the nail in the coffin. You just don't do. When a company is successful, it's successful. And people and members in that company know it's successful. You don't have to post income claims for people to feel the energy of a company that it generates on its own that can then create great success. And when I'm talking about success from my past, why do I like doing what I do? Why do I want to do this again? Why am I so engaging on this? Because in history, there's few places in time where you can make a difference for a lot of people. In the education, we can make a great difference, but also in the earnings, we can change people's lives by having a great program. You know, there's always that little guy that steps up and becomes that big guy. There's nothing more rewarding than see those people step up and make it happen. I was in Australia 20 years ago, And the guy was sitting in his house on a Saturday morning, and I had to go to his house because he was Jewish. So he couldn't come to my meeting on Saturday, and I didn't even know that. But he couldn't come to my meeting, so he had a Saturday morning breakfast with me. And I went to his house, and he goes, now, I can't come to your meeting, Dad. I go, yeah, I know, I got told. He goes, okay, I didn't even understand it. But he goes, so I can't come to your meeting so we can have breakfast. I said, okay, we'll have breakfast. And he said, I need you to tell me one thing. I said, okay. And he said, is it real? And I said, it is as real as you believe it is. And he became a great success in network marketing in the next 12 months, and he was a plumber. I went all over the world, and I went to South Africa, and there was a meeting, and a woman showed up at the meeting with no shoes on. 6 months later, I saw her in Las Vegas at a convention, dressed real nice. She had shoes on, and she came up and she said, I want to thank you. And I said, what for? And she told me her story, and her story was, I was losing my house. I was losing everything. I went to the bank and said, if you'll just let me buy a computer, give me $1,300, I can solve it. And she solved it. So the reason we want to do these things is because people can change their lives if they're willing to make the move and go out and make it happen. But it's not as simple as that. It's about timing. This is a timing thing. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it's here. Everybody on this call, it is here to stay. And so we're going to deliver that message to the world in all the languages, and we're going to show the world how it works, and they're going to love us for it, and people are going to win, and that's what we're all about. And then you got the crypto rhythm, and I use it as the back door. I'm only going to show it if I have to, because that's for the big player. I'm not trying to entice people into something they shouldn't and cannot afford. We have an app for that. We're going to educate the people through our system. We're going to deliver an app to the people, and then we're going to deliver information through the app, and we're going to deliver signals through the app, so the house mom or the guy, with $100 or $50 or $75 can go in on his own, make his own decision, because we're not financial advisors, we're educational people. But from the information they gather from us, and then the information they can get from the world now that they've got educated and kind of know how to look, they can make a decision if they want to buy a few EOS when somebody says EOS is going to do well. And, I forgot to buy it at $3 because I was too busy, and it went to like 14. And again, here I am. I'm the customer. The whole world is the customer. The big networkers, the bankers, the lawyers, the doctors, the dentists, they don't know about Bitcoin. The plumber, the yard guy, the carpenter, the whole world is the customer. They're hearing about it. It's kind of in the distance to them. It's kind of like me being in China, and everybody speaking Chinese, and I'm going, what are they saying? That's what it's like. And the whole world is the customer. So it's all in how we present and all in how we do things. And the lessons learned are do things right. Treat people well. Have a good program. Let it pay properly. Do not do income claims. Do not do enticement techniques. And you can build a great, strong program and be in a good eye with the government. Okay, Brendan.
Well, one thing that I like that you did was during the presentation, because 90% of the questions that I get from most people is about the bot and crypto rhythm and how much percentage am I going to get per day, how much am I going to get per month. And I like how you said when the crypto rhythm slide came up, and that it costs 12% a month that people need to pay on the amount that they're trading with. And people say all the time, well, that's kind of expensive. And I like how you said, if we're charging you 12%, you think to yourself, how much money are we confident that you just might make to be able to afford that? And it made me, when I heard it for the first time, I was like, yeah, that's right. So people will be able to experience that when it goes live and try it out for themselves without us having to go out there and try to do, as you said, entice and start talking about numbers. Even if they're true, that can get us in trouble. So we're going to avoid that all possible. And someone said, well, Brandon, don't you think you might make a lot more money if you actually promote just how great your bot is doing? So we're not looking at doing it on the short term. We want this company to be here for the long term. That's why we're leading with education first. But that leads me, you said something that leads me into the next question. You talked about the international expansion with the languages. Now, traditionally, I've seen a lot of companies. They always in America launch in America first. They get their base and foundation going, and then it might be another 6 months or so before they decide to launch in another country and use translation. And they always use Google Translate, and the people in those countries are offended because it's not their language. But we're putting together something different here. You want to have us set up that we actually come out of the gate with different languages. I'd love for you to expand on that and the languages that we have so that people know that it's not Google Translator that you're doing here. The presentations, the slides, everything is going to be done voiceovers in those languages. So can you expand on that?
Yes. I've hired 15 translators so far, and we have so much work that I'm hiring 2 translators in some countries. And here's the deal. We can be in front of the race or we can be behind the race. But what we have to remember is we are the race. And so I don't want anybody to be able to take our concept and beat us to any country in the world with it, because we can't hold this down. I mean, every call I'm doing is internationally. I mean, I'm talking about Vietnam, I'm talking about Malaysia, I'm talking about the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, across Europe, into Sweden. Every call I'm doing, India, is internationally. This thing has ran by itself internationally. Are we going to chase it, or are we going to get in front of it? We're going to get in front of it. And I always planned to do this. I just didn't know we were going to have to get in front of it so fast. And so, before I got on this call, all I was doing was working with translators. And we already have the presentations, the PowerPoints. I think I've got it, like I said, in Chinese simplified, or I'll have it in traditional tomorrow. I've got it in Korean. I've got it in Portuguese. We'll have it in Spanish tonight. We'll have it in Tagalog. Tagalog, I have a hard time with that word. I'm still not sure how to say it, but it's Filipino. We'll have it in Tagalog within the next couple of days, and then it's going to start coming in German and all the other languages I said. So you're going to have PowerPoint presentations and PDF presentations by a week from today, probably in 15 languages. And every single one of those are all going to be voiced over so that the world can say, look how ready they are. Because being ready is a great key to success. And then, like I said earlier in the call, we're going to choose the 4 or 5 languages where we know we're going to skyrocket. It's not just about a presentation. It's about education. We have to actually emulate all 45 of the lessons, and I couldn't start doing any of this until we had the first 10 or 15 lessons done. And so now, as we've gotten past that and we're moving along, now I'm beginning to emulate these lessons, because we're not just going to come to your country and speak in Spanish and tell you we're going to teach the world. We're going to deliver the product in Spanish and Chinese and Japanese and Korean. This is the way you build a global company, and this is the way you build a top-tier company. You prepare for it, you be ready, you do the work, and you hope and you pray that people come. Well, it's too late for that. The people are already coming, and they're all over the world, and we're going to hand them this whole thing on a silver platter so they can take this to the world.
Well, that's exciting news, because people that know me know that I always say, if you are a company in the United States and you plan on being around for the long term, you must have international presence. You must have an international organization. And I believe that the majority of the people that join our business and our company are going to be international. So all of you guys that's listening right now, you heard all of those languages. If you've got contacts in these countries, you want to start getting them lined up and ready and prepared now before somebody else gets to them. That leads me to another question, especially, I know next week we're going to go into more detail when we talk about our time frames of launch as we come in close to the end of the month, how we're rolling things out in phases. There are things that need to be lined up first before we share that on this call. But tell me from your point of view, as a co-owner of the company, what is your long-term goal for the company? Where do you see us, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What's your goal for the company?
Honestly, you don't want me to paint that picture, because it's so hard to even see past this moment. My first goal is that we reach about 200 countries in 3 months. That's the first real goal, and we'll do it. And then we have all this education and all the right languages, so we can begin, like a tree, we'll begin to grow in every single country. And we're going to become this great educational company with this crypto rhythm thing back here that's not for everybody, but it's for some, and we know who to show it to. And then we've got this app that's for everybody, and it helps them if they want to get involved in this small trading thing. But where I also see us going is there's a lot of products and a lot of things available in the crypto arena. And as we go forward and as we move forward, like wallets and things, mining, things like that, we can supply all these products through this system throughout the world. Don't want to lay out a plan, but, how many members we're going to have in a year? Who knows? It's going to be a lot. This thing has so much momentum early in the game. Remember, Skybiz had 2 million members in 2 years. Probably really had about 1.2 to 1.5 million people if you go look at some of the way they played games in it. But we're going to be bigger than Skybiz. We're going to be far greater than Skybiz. We're going to be run in a different way than Skybiz is run. And because of this serious education and the continuing education, we'll become the premier cryptocurrency educational company. With that, we can offer any product in the cryptocurrency arena through this crypto promoters distributor base that we're going to build all across the world.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the things that I see is, despite the fact that we're having a great product with the Bitcoin 101 and such, and the 45 basic videos, I think one of the biggest values that we're going to be offering is the ongoing training, because this is a space that is always changing, it's always developing. The rules are changing, the laws are changing, the way banks and the government approaches things, new technology rolls out. You know, what you knew 2 months ago might become obsolete. So one of the biggest things that we're going to provide all of our customers is the fact that they're going to get ongoing live training on the spot, week to week, with an app that's going to keep them updated. That's one of the things I'm very excited about. And the last thing is, because I don't want to go into other details until next week, but I'd love for you to share any final thoughts that you would have, especially for the members. What should the members out there that's right now, they're sitting at the edge of their seat, they can't wait for us to launch like yesterday, what should they be doing in their business to prepare for us before we go into pre-launch?
Well, I'm just going to speak. If I was in front of a room, and I look at every phone conversation as Zoom call if I'm in front of a room. And so my biggest advice right now, and my favorite part of this entire program, is the 10% matching bonus for personally sponsored. That's my favorite part. And the reason for that is, there's a story. Because there was a guy in Hawaii, and back here, years ago, this guy in Hawaii signed up this guy in Las Vegas named Eric. And when he did, Eric came to me, and me and Eric went out and traveled the world and began to build this company. Then a lot of great leaders came forward, and there was lots of great leaders. It wasn't only Eric, but he was the first one. And the guy in Hawaii, I don't even remember his name. And that's really sad. And it's because the guy in Hawaii never made any money, because he didn't build a team. He didn't build a team at all. He just got Eric. And so in designing this company, I designed that 10% for Eric and the guy in Hawaii. Because if it was me, I would be getting a hold of everyone I know, and I'd be putting them on a three-way call or a Zoom call with one of your leaders or one of us, and I would be letting us present to these top leaders, because somebody's going to land that leader in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and they're going to make a 10% override on his cryptonary. And I would hate to know that leader and know that I didn't call that leader and get that leader invited to a call with one of us or one of your leaders to put them in position so that a smaller person in this industry could win alone on just that. Other than that, I know how fast this thing's moving. Y'all do too. You can't sit on it. You got to go ahead and move it. Sorry it took off so fast. Sorry it took off before we were ready, but it's the greatest problem that we could have. Once we launch the program, they're going to come in by the hundreds, thousands, and then we're going to build the company. And so there's a lot of work ahead of us. None of this is easy. I mean, the work here, the translation, all this software stuff, that's just stuff. We'll get that done. That's no big deal. But there's a lot of work ahead for all of us to go build a great company. A lot of work, a lot of time to be put in to do this, and it all starts now. And, my famous saying to people is, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you're right. But you better get up and start doing it right now, because you don't want to go, oh, man, I knew him. I should have called him. He got in. Look how well he's doing. Don't waste any time building this program. That's all I've got, Brandon.
Well, thank you for that, because I know people must understand. They don't really understand the compensation plan yet, but there's a $50,000 a week cap on the cryptonary, but there is no cap on the matching bonus. So you want to go as wide as possible. You want to tell as many people as possible, have them lined up and ready to go. Another important thing as well, since we've got some time before we actually pre-launch, you guys want to make sure that all the people you have on your list already have a Bitcoin wallet set up, and they already have it funded with the money it's going to cost to get started, from $250 as a customer or $300 as a distributor. Have it ready to go. You don't want to wait till the day of launch, and then they got to figure out how to get all this stuff set up. So as a leader, that's your job to make sure your people are ready to go. They've got funded, so when the doors open, you just hit a couple of buttons and you're good to go. So that's all. We're coming up. I want to keep it under 45 minutes. I'm going to give it back to you, Stephen, for any final thoughts. And then next Saturday, we're going to have Kathy and Jeremy Keene is going to be up, and we're also going to get more details as far as we're getting closer to launch. So, Stephen, any last comments?
Yeah, I want to thank you all for taking the time and coming to this call. I appreciate everything you're doing. We know what you're doing. And we're doing everything possible to make it all work together for you and for us as a team and a company across the world. I had never seen anything like this before. I mean, in the last company we built so big, there were 7 months of struggle. 7 months of struggle. This one, the only struggle we have is put it on the web so it can run. And so we've just got something, folks. You can't dream it. You can't make it. You can't mold it. You can't build it. It just shows up. And we have that, and you need to realize that. And you need to take it. You need to study the presentations. You need to study the compensation. You need to know it like the back of your hand because it's really simple. I mean, it's really, really simple. 2 teams, you only got to get 2. These are key phrases. You only got to get 2, and then spill over, and it all works for you. You place people under people, and when you place people under those people, you call those people, and you say, hey, John, I just put Tom under you, and you motivate those people, and you keep building, you keep focusing on just 2, and, hey, make 3 sales, and you get your money back. Focus on the simple stuff. Make sure you're presenting to the masses where everybody can understand it can work for them too. And that's how you build the kind of program we want to build. Thank you all for coming to the call. You all have a wonderful weekend. Go enjoy your weekend. And again, everyone, thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. All right, everybody, we will see you next Saturday, same time, with Kathy and Jeremy Keene, same information. And I'll get this recording out to you as fast as possible so you can send it to your team members that weren't able to make it on. Have a great weekend, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.
KryptoGeneX.